Steve and I had a really great relationship. When we first met, it was already clear to me, when we had our first embrace, that he's the one for me. We taught seminars together, we're very close. We pretty much did everything together for 17 years. Steve, he was the one who really wanted a Doberman. We came back to California and Steve couldn't stop, and he found another breeder and he found another puppy, and finally I said, okay, let's go there. And it was a brown puppy, and she and Steve looked at each other and it was love. She was really Steve's other wife, but you know, they had a very good relationship. And when we were in Costa Rica, they would go on long, long walks on the beach and swim together. And he would go surfing, she'd wait, and when he came closer, she'd go in the water and get him. And they did a lot together, and everything was just wonderful for them. You could see it. Steve and I had to leave Costa Rica for a little while because I got diagnosed with cancer, and we decided to have the treatment here in the United States. I had just had chemotherapy a day before, so I was really exhausted. It was probably about 4:30 when Steve said, oh, I'm going to go down to Fairfax and I'm going to take Coco with me, and after that we're going to go to this new path. And then I woke up at 3 in the morning and Steve was not in the bed. And then I looked out the window and I realized the car wasn't there. There was a knock on my bedroom door, and there was my friend, and he said, you know, Lakita, you better come down. There's a police there. And I'm like, police? And they said, well, Mrs. Carter, we have some unfortunate news. Your husband's shot dead. You got to be kidding me. This is not fun. I have cancer. Can't you see it? This is not a good hidden camera moment. And they said, well, Mrs. Carter, we're terribly sorry, but this is what happened, and this is where it happened, and your dog has also been shot. And I just lost it. I mean, yeah.
The search is on for a killer in Marin County who gunned down 67-year-old Steve Carter on a popular hiking trail. Carter was just out walking his dog when he was shot multiple times.
Steve was found with Coco standing, still attached by leash to his hand, almost like she was waiting for help to arrive while he was dead on the trail. So when our officer arrived at the crime scene, she had been removed by the first responders, and 2 of them had Coco on leash. She was bloody, her jaw was hanging open, her right eye appeared to be severely injured, and it was very obvious to our officer at that time that she needed emergency vet stabilization. It was too late for Steve, but just the beginning for Coco.
It was just a routine ER night. Before Coco came in, she was brought directly to the back, to our treatment area. Coco was obviously in pain and in shock from the injuries. She also had continued bleeding from her nose and her mouth, and oftentimes bleeding will stop on its own and you just need to give it time. Hers was not stopping, and she was already fairly anemic from the blood loss, so she got a blood transfusion that night.
You know, not just one transfusion, but multiple transfusions. It was in the danger zone, and it was really unlikely to know for certain at that time if she would survive.
When she was at a point where I felt she was stable enough, I sedated her and actually sewed up some of the soft tissue injury around the severe jaw fractures she had. And that kept her stable and safe through the night until I could get her to our surgeon in the morning. Ultimately, she consulted with a dental specialist, and the decision was made to send her to UC Davis because they have the level of specialty care that she needed.
So the very first visit, I promised Lakita that I would take her up to UC Davis and reunite the 2 of them.
I was really nervous to see my dog again because I wasn't sure. Maybe she was hoping to see Steve and not me. I don't know.
Keep in mind, she hadn't seen her dog, you know, since the incident. She hadn't seen Coco with the loss of her eye. She was really expecting the worst.
You know, I looked different, the hair, you know, whatever, I smelled different.
And we actually had the veterinary team walk Coco down to meet Lakita.
She was so happy to see me. I mean, it was just unbelievable. And I was so happy to see her. It was just such a precious moment of joy and love, and But the service of the Humane Society team of Cindy didn't end there, because the whole thing, the murder, threw me into a complete financial crisis. But then she told me that Marin Humane Society would take care of the expenditure.
Because, battling cancer is not easy. And getting bad news about your dog on top of your late husband, I couldn't imagine going through that myself. And so that little bit of glimmer and hope to be able to give to someone that's really struggling was just one of the best things I've ever done in my career.
I really didn't want to live. My husband was ripped out of my life. My dog I wasn't sure if I was going to see her again. I wasn't even sure I was going to survive. But then everything changed because Coco came back to me, you see. I mean, not that I was suddenly all happy and groovy and everything was great, but suddenly I had this other being that I was responsible for. And for that, I will be grateful also to the rest of until my very last breath. There is no doubt in my mind. I think Marin Humane Society has this motto that says, lives made happy. And I really feel that was achieved. It's not like I'm fully happy yet, but I'm really happy when I'm with my dog and when I see her run and her joy and her vibrancy, being alive. It's such a gift.